Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. We're gonna have a really big show for you here tonight. So stay tuned. We um we wanted to have this presentation so you can get to know the group that we've selected, FirstService Residential. And the purpose of this meeting is that you can have a Q&A session. FirstService Residential is going to make a presentation to you. They're going to tell you who they are and what they're all about. Then when they've completed their presentation and introduced their team, you will have the ability to ask questions and you will receive answers. We will be having a microphone going around the room, so you don't need to come up to the podium. Just raise your hand and eventually someone will get to you. You'll be able to ask your questions and get you an answer. First thing I want to do is a little housekeeping. I want to make an announcement because we've had questions over the last week, and I've had them, and the board members have had them as well. And it's regards to our controller, Sean Swagger. He is no longer an employee of Woa. His last day of work was March 5th of last week, and he is no longer an employee. And the board will not say anything further than the statement I've just made. We are not allowed to speak about employees at public meetings. In saying that, I also did want to make one other announcement that we've come to an agreement in principle with the current restaurant operator, the Bistro. We will not be able to give you any of the details yet because the lease has not been signed. But as soon as that's accomplished, we will give you the details of that. And in saying that, I would like to turn it over to our treasurer to give you a report on regards to how this here agreement will impact our community financially and all of you as the homeowners. So in saying that, Kathy Donano, and she will walk you through the process.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. I just want to give, we have already spoken about what the projections would be with this particular type of property management company in place. We've tightened up those estimates, the projections for 2024, and we wanted to look forward a little bit because there are some additional costs in 2024, interim costs, and we'll talk about that. So for 2024 and 2025, we've really looked through the numbers, and we can conclude that for 2024, there will be an overall savings of $120,000. And for 2025, because we won't have interim fees associated with the costs, we will save $230,000. Now, I just want to caution you, we are performing or in the process of having a capital reserve study, very necessary, performed by our engineer. And there are new laws in New Jersey that require us to have certain things in place in capital reserves. So we don't know the impact of that as yet. But my suspicion is that a lot of these savings may need to go to fund capital reserves. So I just want people to be aware. And if there are any questions related to these projections, I would be more than happy to sit with you and walk you through them.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay, just before we begin, I wanted to lay down a couple of housekeeping rules in regards to how we're going to move forward with this meeting. First of all, if anyone has a cell phone, please turn it off or put it on silent. If you need to take a call, receive a call, please go out of the room and take it out there. We all got to be on our best behavior. Please no shouting, no over talking people who are trying to get a message across. We are all here to learn something tonight. We want everyone to have that ability. So please don't interrupt the speakers or the persons who are giving a response back. That would be greatly appreciated. And the last thing I would like to say is that the board has done a lot of due diligence here, getting to this point here tonight. We did basically what would have taken months, and we did it in 2 weeks. We had a number of companies that came in and we interviewed and we found out what was going to work best for this community. So we appreciate everyone coming out to learn. The decision of the board is how we hope it's going to work. In saying that, I'd like to turn the meeting over now to FirstService Residential for Michael Mendello. He's the president, and he'll introduce his team and walk you through the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. So if it's okay, I'm going to come out in the front because I want to, for people that are maybe in the back. So good evening, everyone. As Tom said, first of all, thank you so much for coming out this evening on your time. As Tom said, I'm president of FirstService Residential. My name is Michael Mendello. I have to my right team members that are going to be involved in your community from either behind the scenes, that's working with the team that is here, that exists, as well as some of the team members who are going to be here as well. I'll introduce you in a second. But what's important that the board made very clear during the vetting process that they had, and as Tom said, and I do think it's important, you know, as a community, because it's your homes, it's your community, that the vetting process that they went to was typically you have a few months to go through this. But because of the circumstances that were here, they were under a quick pace of it. But their vetting process did not cut corners in at least our experience. And we've been doing this for 30 years, that they really went through their due diligence of that. And we respected that because we knew there was a short window of time of where people were leaving. And they had to, you know, at the end of the day, you have to run the day-to-day here with all you pay for on that. And the economics were important. We understand that. We understand that there's an investment. And what we have seen in our history of working with communities that were historically self-managed, that's how this community was managed, meaning the team, the staff were employees of the association. These employees reported into the board. The board, as you know, are elected by you. They're in a non-compensatory role. A nice way of saying they don't get paid, right? So they, and whatever their history of their career was, are overseeing a staff. Where in a staff that you have here with typically you would see is, you know, an HR department and all different levels of that. So shifting from a self-managed community and hiring a management company, which basically is the management's company responsibility to drive and operate the day-to-day under the supervision and under the approval of the board. So we don't make decisions, we recommend. We recommend based on our experience, and we recommend based on properties that are similar to yours, not just in other areas, but also locally. And then we give our reasons why if we're suggesting something. And that could be anything. But at the end of the day, the board is going to make that decision. So our contract says, like, we report into the board. Now, All the associates here now have become ours that were the past, the association's employees. So that doesn't mean the landscapers. That's a landscaping company. They're still doing theirs, but we are accountable for making sure that their contract is operating. We're not out there cutting the grass. We're not experts in it, but we are responsible to make sure that it's happening. So all the subcontracts that are out there ultimately trickles up to us. And it's our job to give reports in a regular cadence to the board. But the employees that were here are now part of FirstService. We don't have any intention of eliminating anybody. Our job first is to get to know everybody. We're not experts in knowing this community until we become managing this. What I mean by that is every community operates in its own kind of style. So we don't want to assume we know everything. So it's going to take us a little time. So bear with us. Have patience with us, because at the end of the day, we want this to be successful. Otherwise, we won't be here, right? If we're not doing the job, we're not here. So there's a team that's behind this, and I'm going to give you a little bit more of the big picture. So I'm going to ask if it's okay for each of the team members to introduce themselves and how they will be operating here. Before I do, I want to tell you about how FirstService Residential sees this community. So we manage properties. We don't do rentals. Our focus is on community association management. But we see it similar to like a doctor. There's specialties in this area. Your community is over 1,600, slightly over, homes, probably around 2,000 plus people. It's a large community with a lot of amenities. So that property falls into the category of our lifestyle division. It's because communities like this, people move there for the lifestyle of them. Now, you could be moving here because your grandchildren or your family lives close. We have a lot of that. People that want to downsize their original home and want to be in a community amongst their peers. It is important we know that, because that's what you came here for. It is not as simple of pay a bill, cut a grass. There's more to this. And we take that very seriously. And we also have to have empathy for the human side of why people move, bless you, why people move into communities like that. So we also manage high rises. Those are 7 stories and up. Find them in a lot of our urban cities areas. And then we have the homeowners association's portfolio manager. So there's 3 types of properties. Like a doctor, if you want to go to a heart specialist, you're not going to ask your dentist on how your heart is. You go to the specialist who knows. This team focuses on these type of communities. We manage throughout North America 9,000 communities. So we have the experience and understanding, but we're not perfect. We're not perfect, but we have an understanding. And the way our business is structured is we have local executives, local people that understand the local market. And they're focused in on these type of communities, lifestyle communities, large scale lifestyle communities. We have probably a little bit over 1,500 communities that are similar to this. Not exactly. Some are 700 homes. Some are as high as 40,000 homes in one community. And again, there is definitely a different style of managing when you have multi-generational people living in the community. And then when you have an age restricted, 55 and better, by the way, it's 55 and better, not older. So that's key, right? Understanding that, knowing where and how that operates. This team is all over. This team will have a connection with you. And by the way, more others, but we felt that the right people here explaining what their role is and how they interact is the best way to do it. So I'm going to pass it to Ted.
Thank you, Michael. And hello, everyone. First, my name is Ted Gammon. I'm a Senior Vice President of our lifestyle team. that Michael mentioned. So first, I want to say on behalf of everybody here, we are thrilled that you all came out. This is our second session tonight, and I think the amount of turnout we had is a testament to how much this means to all of you. So thank you for taking the time out to visit with us tonight. My role, essentially, I report directly to Michael. I've been with FirstService Residential for 14 years and in real estate for about 25, starting in real estate development for a couple of national home builders before moving over to the management side. My job essentially is to work very closely with your board of trustees and our cited teams as well as my team, which I'll introduce you to Tom Taylor in a moment, our regional director. Really, we're personally accountable for everything that we've promised to you. Ultimately, we want to ensure that we're bringing a high quality of living to all of you here and support the direction that your board of trustees is looking to accomplish for your community. So again, we're really, really looking forward to working with all of you. We'll be around for Q&A. As we introduce our team, one of the questions that came up earlier today is, will we put out an org chart for you? So I can save that question for later. The answer is yes, we will compile a contact list of who each of us are, what our roles are, and how you should be reaching out moving forward for communication. So again, thank you. And Tom.
Thank you, Ted. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tom Taylor, and as Ted mentioned, I'm a regional director with FirstService Residential in our lifestyle division. And my role primarily is to support the boards and support the cited team that's going to be here. We'll introduce Carol in a little bit. And how do I do that? So really, a lot of my role involves liaising with our front of house operations. So that could be our accounting department, the AP department, the account receivable department, closings, resales, our IT department in support of the staff, and our HR team. So there's a big staff here. We want to make sure that we have the tools, resources, and training to support the team here. And that is my primary role. I work with about 20 communities, very similar to yours in the sense of their lifestyle communities. I have a great team of about 25 managers that I work with. It's a great wealth of knowledge and resource to tap into. They've done every type of project you could ever imagine. So if there's ever a question for the management team here in regards to a project, vendors that they've worked with, successes and failures, they can share that information with them. So it's a great network. I have team meetings twice a month. All the managers are there in-house supporting one another. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to serve the community.
Evening, everybody. My name is Colette Montanaro. I'm the Vice President of Talent and Relationship Management at FirstService. I've been with the company for 15 years, but earlier in my career, I worked with national companies, corporate, small, privately owned companies, and helping to staff and put their teams together with the right balance. So I did that for quite a while before I joined FirstService. Now here at FirstService, what I'll be doing here at the community, supporting the team that you guys already introduced. I'll be working with your existing team that you have here, but also leading the search for your new manager and your new assistant manager. So I have a team of recruiters that we all work very closely with, and we will work with the board in understanding the best needs of the community so that we staff it properly. I also will work with your existing team, and that is with training and mentorship programs, and leadership programs. What's great about FirstService is we have our own university, so we're able to bring a lot of knowledge to them to round out their careers. Pass it on to Eileen.
I'm Eileen Jablonski. I'm Vice President of Communications for the company. And so what I do is all the communications within our organization. I also support the on-site teams, whether it's lifestyle programming, amenities, help them bring in your signage and everything that goes into creating some of those events. And also working with the team very closely to enhance the experience for each one of you. And that's really important to us. And one of the things we always say is that we wake up in the same neighborhoods you do. And I truly do because I live in Monroe. So I look forward to seeing all of you maybe at Stop and Shop.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carol Nickerson. I am your interim general manager. So I will be here transitioning the community into FirstService's policies and procedures. I'll be working with all of your staff and everyone here to support the community and to get this transition done as quickly as possible. I've been with FirstService Residential for 13 years. I've been in property management for 15 years, and I look forward to meeting all of you.
My name is Susie Weingartner. I've been in property management for about 3 years. I've been with FirstService for the last year. I will be acting as your property manager, and I will be working with everybody very closely to help manage the team.
Here, excuse me. Hey, everyone. My name is Sam Schneider. I'm a controller with FirstService. I'm a CPA in New Jersey. I've been in this industry for approximately 15 years in various aspects of the accounting function. First as an auditor, then working for other management companies, later as controller, and finally I've been with FirstService Residential as a controller here for the past 2 years. I'll be during this transition process, I'll be working directly with the board, helping get a better understanding and helping their understanding of the association's financial position. And then once fully transitioned, I'll still remain as a resource for the board as we continue working, through the budget process, so on and so forth, and helping everyone understand the financials and the financial position of the association as a whole. So thank you, everyone, for having us.
I'm Mark Kamai. I am the Director of Business Development and Client Relationship Management. So I work with the team when we onboard new communities, help support from the back, and also work as we identify talent and to bring people into your communities. Basically, I'm just here to be that extra layer of support for the community and for FirstService Residential as they work with your board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So this is the team. And again, part of this is when we were awarded this contract, which we're very, very humbled and appreciate, we felt the best way to operate coming out of the gate was to create a transition onboarding team. We do this with a lot of large communities like yours. There's a reason for it. One is, in this industry, most companies do not have a general manager waiting on the bench when you tap them on the shoulder to take a role. So we have to recruit. The other part of it is, we don't know your community yet until we start managing it. So we want to make sure that we're looking for the right person. In the interim, we put seasoned, experienced managers in place who can help get everything uploaded during the onboarding. And this usually ranges 2 to 4 months. That's usually what it ranges. And then it gives us an opportunity to go out and search for what we hope to be is the right fit. I use the word hope because nothing's guaranteed. No matter how we vet through this process and we look at competencies, we look at financial knowledge, facilities knowledge, we look for experience, hospitality knowledge, right? You live here, you want to make sure that when you're speaking to somebody, are they kind? Are they responsive? Are they nice? What I found in my career is no matter how well you do vetting, sometimes someone sneaks in and it's not as what you thought until they get in. So I say that in just creating a realistic expectations. It is not the goal. We're not searching for that. We're looking for the best, but we want to make sure that it goes through the proper vetting process. So again, that's probably over the next 2 to 4 months, but it also gives the team an understanding on how the day-to-day operates. Kathy mentioned earlier in her examples of what does it cost to run this community as a self-managed community versus moving to a professional company. And usually the community thinks it's going to cost money. And I get it. Unless you've been in this industry, like anything, whatever industry you were in or are in, I'm not an expert in it. I have to lean into you and tell me what that is. But I can tell you how it works. It's pretty simple. You identify what is in place when you're running the day-to-day as a self-managed. That includes your employees and costs. And then what will it cost to move to a professional management company? And what happens is there's costs here that all of them don't need to be there. So the savings as she mentioned, was 123,000 in year one, with an expectations of savings in year two over 200,000. So from an economic perspective, it's a good position to be in. But we don't want to sacrifice money for less service. Because that's also, if I was living here, I'd say, hey, if the money's good, but now the service isn't there, then did we really save money? So the opportunity here is, what could we bring to the table on elevating certain things? We're not assuming that everything needs work. We're not assuming everything doesn't need work. What we are is going in with a positive intent to understand how the community is operating. And then where we see on either a weekly or a monthly basis or a quarterly basis with the board, our suggestions on what we think might be the number one priority based on the board's guidelines and your guidelines. And our job is to find them and figure that out. So as I said, it will have some clunkiness in the first couple of months. So I no problem with apologizing again, but I will start with apologizing that we're sorry. It's going to have that. But when it happens, I always say sometimes people have a little bit of selective amnesia and they kind of forget a little, and we have to remind and say, but here's the deal. We will say it again and we will explain, because that's the important part. You as a community want to know if something is changing, why? I think we owe you that. Why are things going to go in a certain direction, whatever that is? But the good news for all of you is nothing is happening without us presenting to the board and their approval. So it is not us taking over. It is us, hopefully you look in time as a partner, but a junior partner. You're the senior partners. No pun intended. But you are the partners of this. And that's important because I do want you to know that we respect the chain of command. We respect that we're only going to be here is if we do our job. If we don't do our job, you're going to want to change. And there is a contract that gives them the right to do that. And they should have. And they did that, and their attorneys did a terrific, terrific job. So part of your community has different aspects to it. It has a physical aspect. This clubhouse is a physical aspect. It has the grounds, the facilities. Then it has the lifestyle. So I kind of say it reminds me sometimes as a cruise ship that never leaves port, right? It has entertainment. It has to run like a business. And everything on that better work when you are on it, right? So in a sense, all these components have to work to make your community whole. So where could we bring maybe new ideas, new opportunities on the programming side of lifestyle? And we're going to look at all this and we're going to suggest. Maybe we're going to say, you know what, you're based on the communities we manage, you're doing a terrific job here. And by the way, if you're enjoying what you have here, we're not looking to change it. We're looking to enhance what might be there, or find another way to do that through leveraging our aggregate purchasing. So because we manage a lot of communities, we might be able to negotiate better deals with your contractors. Now, in fairness, they're in business to make for profit. So we have to balance that. They still have to make money, but can we save a little in areas? We're going to explore that. And typically we do find those savings as well. What Kathy shared is just brass tacks right now. There's upside, I think. And that's what we're hoping that we do on that. That's the reasons why the board pulled us in, is us to bring that side of the equation. And that includes managing the people. There's hiring. Sometimes you have to let people go. There's risks when people work here. And are we managing that risk properly for you? Those are the areas, in a whole. Now, what we did this afternoon was we did kind of an overview like now. And we felt that what really gets more direct is when people want to ask questions. Because there might be a lot on your mind. And, based on the afternoon session, there was a lot on their mind too. So we address them. And if we can't address it, I'll let you know. And if we have to get back to you, I'll let you know. But the last thing on this topic, and we can open it up to a Q&A. We understand empathy. We understand that you live here. This is your home. We understand it. That's what we do for a living. So it's balancing that. And when people live where their family comes visits, their grandchildren come visit, they want it to be nice. And we also, that happens sometimes, is it gets a little passionate because of it, and or a little emotional because of it. We get it. We do. We genuinely get it. And like I said, we're not perfect. There's a lot of tentacles that touch this community. A lot of tentacles. There's nobody on the planet that is that perfect to where they can master every tentacle. But our integrity is important and relationships are important. And again, it's not perfect, but we thank you so much for the opportunity. And what I'd like to do, if it's okay with the board, is open it up to Q&A. So a couple of things, if I can ask some of the team members to grab, Troy, some microphones. What we learned this afternoon is one, we're going to try our best to do this in order, but we're going to screw it up. There's hands growing up and people my hand's been up for an hour, it wasn't that bad. But at the end of the day, what we want you to do is speak into the microphone, your name, where you live. And what we like to do is limit it to one question per. And the reason is because a lot of people might have questions. So we want to, and people were coming with 6 to 3 questions. And again, all important questions. But we want to try to get everyone an opportunity who does want to speak. And if you did ask a question, I'd wait until, if you have another one, let's wait until other people just for that. And again, I always say, just be kind at the end of the day, but we'll do our best in answering all the questions that you either have to us or maybe it's to the board. So with that, any questions? Okay, I like it.
I know every month people pay their monthly fee and send their checks in or their accounts get charged. Are you going to be in charge of that? When people pay, you're going to apply the money against the account. You're going to take the checks and have them deposited. Is that going to be one of your company's jobs?
Yes, sir. That's an important part of the accounting function. For the interim time, that process will remain the same. As the transition process progresses, and we move it over to the FirstService platform, there'll be multiple trainings set up for the community so that everybody can understand the most effective and easiest ways to accomplish that. But yes, at the end of the day, yes, that will be our responsibility to make sure that payments are applied appropriately.
Hi, Linda Carrazzo, 34 Leeds Lane. I just want to know, how long is this contract for?
The contract is a 3-year contract with options. So each year it has an option to it. So it's 3, which each year, and there's also an out clause if we don't perform. So at the end of the day, that's what we like. It keeps us, focused on what we have to do. Thank you.
Mary Larish, 2 Jeffrey Court. I would like to know, Sean's gone, Michelle's gone, Jamie's gone, a lot of people are gone. What are we doing in the interim? Who's doing these jobs? How are we managing until you hire the people to replace them?
Sure, it's a great question. So I'm going to reintroduce again. Carol is your GM. She has been here since last Tuesday. So we had someone here every day, Carol being the GM, and Susie is acting as the manager. And we've had 2 or 3 of our team here probably 60% of the time for the last week. So we have people here. That's the interim people. They're here every day. It's not, they come in for an hour in that. And then we find until we hire the permanent replacement. Well, actually, we did have slightly, it's not enough, but we did have 1 week with Jamie. That's why we came in, but it was only 1 week. So it's, look, we've been doing this. So we understand there's a lot of similarities in it. There is a staff still here and we're leaning into the board and, you know, that with the hands we were dealt. No, it isn't, but that's what the position we were put in. People want to leave, they leave. I think there was a. Who?
Hi, good evening. My name is Roya Shiri. I live in 25 Kingston Court. My question is, out of 9 people we met tonight, only 2 people is gonna be in this building? Work every day, Monday to Friday?
No, those 2 will, but there's there's a staff here. You have a complete staff that is still here. And we're assessing who and what we're hiring as well. So no, it is not just 2 people. You have a team that's still
I'm
here.
not talking about those people. I'm talking about 9 people. Only 2 people is gonna work here and if like big, a group of people, but we have only 2 people plus our own employees.
Right, those employees now have become FirstService employees, and we will be hiring 2 additional on top. Well, we have a company that they have other responsibilities. Yes.
Harriet Backman, 16 Halifax Drive. When is the financial statement coming out? And will it be available for all of us to see?
That's a Kathy question.
Currently, I am working with Sam Schneider, who is at the end there, in order to put together our first quarter, of course, at the end of March. And there will be a roughly 15-day period to close the books. And so, like we have in the past, we will have a first quarter statement to provide to our residents very, actually second week of April. And that will be our first quarter statement. At that time, we will review our year-end 2023 also. Okay. Our statements always have been made available to residents on the resident portal quarterly. So generally speaking, April 15th, you would produce the statement. Again, for second quarter, it would be July 15th. For your third quarter, would be October 15th. And the year end takes a little bit longer because you have audits to perform and so on. And that's why we still have not produced our year end statement. We have a budget committee for both WOA and for Greenbrier. They are existing committees. At the beginning of this year, we put together some existing members, some new members that will act within the Budget and Finance Committee and provide recommendations to the board in terms of when they review the financials. So that, and normally our committees, our Budget and Finance committees generally meet a little bit more than roughly 6 times a year, a little more at the end of the year when there is a budget process. But in order to review the financials, they would meet each quarter after the quarter is finalized. And this, I'm sorry, and it includes the Whittingham Condo Association also. So there are three units, 2 committees.
Hi, Lisa Landsman, 7 Cameron Court. Going forward, who's in charge to oversee the securities team? Because I think you probably heard from earlier today, there's been a lot of changes. We have a lot of serious issues that security is not as good as it was. So is it the board that's in charge still?
No, it's a great question. Yes, you are right. This afternoon, that did come up a handful plus times. So like previous, how you have I think it was called a manager, property manager before, but we're saying the general manager. Ultimately, it reports up to the general manager. So those contracts I was speaking about, maybe your pool company, your landscaping, security. So it's the general manager and the team's responsibility and the support team that if it escalates to there, they're the ones that then present it to the board and go through what those challenges are and make sure that they are either being addressed or you take it to the next level if it's not a right fit.
We have some serious. As you know,
Yes,
we have
that
some serious
there
issues.
was a lot of good examples this afternoon that they did share. We got one in the front.
I am Fran Ackerman at 4 Harwood. These 2 gals who are up here, are you girls and women going to be here all the time? Are you a full-time employees? Are you also?
I am your interim general manager, which means I am here for the transition process. And as Michael spoke, we are going to be looking for the right fit for a general manager. But Susie and I will be here.
So you're temporary at this point.
I am an interim manager at this point.
And Susie also.
No, Susie is here.
She's going to be on premises all
Yes.
the time.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to bring out something. I was here in the clubhouse last night and we lost electricity. And if you were supposed to be on the premises, when we walked in, there was no one on the premises except the gal up front. You left us with, the phones were out. There was no one here to talk to about it and you left. Whoever was supposed to be here left.
Right. So yesterday the power went out and unfortunately it was done at a time when we were absolutely out of the building. So we found out that there was, well, I mean, we were able to take care of it and we found out that there was part of the building that did not have use of the generator. So we had that portion of the building closed and everyone else in the building was able to remain until the time that the clubhouse is supposed to be closed. Right, the phone service was down from 3 o'clock on. We couldn't do anything about the phone service. We tried to call. We will certainly look into the procedure and make sure that it works better. You're welcome.
Somasandram, 1F Chadwick Lane. I'm here to ask a simple question that the residential services, who is in charge for it? For the last 2 months, I've been trying to reach for this person and none of my issues were resolved. So I would like to know if there's a new person who is going to be assigned for this residential services, or we have the old person who is now acting as a residential service who is in charge. I would like to know the answer, please.
The current person who's in that job has been transferred over to FirstService. They are now working for FirstService. We understand that there were some similar complaints this afternoon. We will look into that. They are now FirstService employees, and FirstService, one of the things that they do is they constantly review this. This is their purpose of having employees. They manage them, and if something is not a right fit, they look to make it right. So they'll manage it. We're sorry that you've had this problem for the last few months. But we are going to address it. And as we move forward, FirstService will assist us in that process.
Yeah, so we're in the role like a week. So again, we're definitely, it's no, but it's a great question. You're right with that. And so we're learning, who and where. And again, because of the people that left, there wasn't a lot that was passed over, but we're figuring this out a little bit on the day-to-day side as well. So, but thank you.
Hi, my name is Irene McNulty. I live at 105 Chichester Road. And I guess I would like to know, how does it determined that there's going to be a cost savings of over $100,000 for the first year and then 200,000 the next year? How do we determine that? Is it because of health insurance savings or how is that calculated?
Okay. I do have a thorough analysis. Based on the analysis, we can conclude we have, and I'll just go into some very basics. We have existing employees that remained. We all know we had 5 individuals leave over the last 2 months. Those 5 will be replaced by the property manager replaced. They're not being replaced, different type of service, but there will be a property manager, an assistant property manager, general manager, sorry. I know we're calling it different things. So, and let me just clarify, Carol will be here interim time period during which time they will be looking for that perfect person that Michael has been speaking about. Someone who can service our community. Carol, being the expert, can determine over this course of time what kind of a person we need, and they will then hone in their search to find that type of individual.
And the other part of that too, so the cost comparison that you're asking, so when you're running a self-managed community, you need more people on doing this, and this is very common on self-managed communities. Where we have what we call the heart of the house, there's certain positions that get absorbed in that. That's the savings you benefit from that. Because if you think about how it was run, if the manager and your manager and your lead senior financial person is on vacation, it might be a shutdown in certain areas. There's no overlap of that. And if they leave, now the board is responsible for hiring somebody as board to go out and do a search for them. That's all included in our fee. And if you do cost by side-by-side comparison, it came into the 100, and that's just today. So as we go through the contracts and we go through other stuff, we're hoping that we see that increase even more to your benefit on this. Hope I answered it. And there's, they use legal, their attorneys to review these contracts. And it was, in a quick pace. So, there was cost there, and that's kind of a one-off where it's not every year they're using that. So some costs we're hitting it directly in that moment. So that's a cost today. They don't see that happening next year.
Hi, it's Debbie Harback, and I don't know if you need my address or not, but my question is really on your management level. if we need repairs in the clubhouse, if the grounds need repairs outside of the general contracts, if, contractors needed to be hired, if something needs to be remodeled, who takes the responsibility for that? Is it management? Is it the board? And what is the vetting process for that?
A great, great question. So it starts with, it's our responsibility as management to go out and either, depending on the project, to put a professional RFP together, which is basically your bid specs of what you're looking for. If it's in a large amount of, or a project is larger, we may recommend the board to say we might need an engineer or other experts in that field, and maybe even legal. But once that is established, it goes out to 3 bids that would go out, and we would recommend, based on our experience of using them, when it comes in, we vet through that. We vet through that from a cost perspective, experience perspective, and local, and can they handle, and also references as well. Then we present to the board with who we would strongly recommend, but ultimately they make the decision. There's fact, well, can't follow what you.
Diane Haraniotis, 20 Brighton Court. I'd just like to know, can we get a list of all of your names, telephone numbers, and email address in case we have to contact you? And can the board also give us a list of who's doing what now with their telephone numbers and extensions? So we know, even if it's temporary, what the people are doing right now.
Let me just explain something. You now have, replacing Jamie, a general manager. You then have replacing,
No, I just want a
No.
written list.
what I'm trying to tell you is, if you have a question, you have a way to do it. You don't call the president of the company.
No, I understand that, but I want, I
you-
would like to know, I understand I can't call the
Well, I
president.
want to
of the
make
company.
sure everybody else understands that just because they're going to give you their phone numbers doesn't mean you're supposed
I
to
don't
call
plan on
them.
calling them tomorrow. I just want to know who they are, what their job titles are, what their email addresses are, just in case in the future, if you have to go up the hierarchy,
And
where
I'm gonna
the
answer
top
that for you.
is.
So, because it,
Yeah.
and again, there's a lot we're unpacking here. So when Ted spoke, he said one of the questions earlier today was, who are you people? Right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put out job descriptions, who we are, and contact information. So we are gonna get that out to everybody, so that it is. And email address, you look us up where you can find us, right? Nowadays, you can find anybody, but we'll get that. We'll get that. Thank you.
Yeah, Michael, just add to that, we will be working with them to establish a list of both contacts and what the responsibilities are. The board will include their information as well, and that'll be emailed to everyone. We have the email of everyone here. We'll be getting that directly into your home and onto your computer.
It'd be my recommendation to them that if you call the president directly, his secretary should tell you the person to call to start to get your problem solved is not him.
It's not making me look good.
Well, but it's.
No, you know
gonna-
what? I
it's
can
gonna be our
answer this on
general-
experience. Honestly, you can find, you can look us up. You go to our website. And I'm very proud that for as many properties that we manage, which are about 4 million people, I don't get emailed. By the way, the reason is not because they can't, it's because it's got to be taken care of at the ground level. Otherwise, our business isn't running the way it is. And again, occasionally they will come in and again, we understand, like I said earlier, this is your homes. So, there's certain things we can't do. Like if you say we have to lower your maintenance fees by Friday, I can't do that. I can't shut the snow off. I don't know where that button is. So there's certain things, believe me, we get asked this on it. But where we can direct, where we can bring you to the person, as Karen was saying, the person, like I would say, like, I'll direct you to who will get it done because they'll do it quicker than I will. So, but we would do that. So we'll get you the information, but thank you for,
I
you
also,
just threw me against the wall on that. It was a tough.
I also want to give the members here some information. Our concierge at the front desk has all of our GW Monroe email addresses. So if you ever needed to get a hold of a board member, certainly that would be the most effective way to do so.
Manny Judah. You mentioned the budget. Isn't it your responsibility?
Just speak a little louder. They're saying,
Isn't it your responsibility to create a budget and to monitor it monthly?
We work with the board to establish a budget, more towards the end of the year. What we'll do is we'll provide them a template to start out with. One that we found has worked out very well and provided a very efficient budget process for communities just like yours. And we will work directly alongside the board in putting that together and any committees that may exist in order to put that together. And then operationally, that budget is monitored throughout the year. Yeah, it's a collaborative effort with your property management team and the board. So the board is in charge of approval of invoices, right, as well as the property manager, and all of that goes into the monitoring of your expenses.
Just as the process is now, we have a Budget and Finance Committee that represents WOA for WOA and the Condo Association. And those budgets will revise separately as their own Budget and Finance Committee. So these two committees work with the board or report to the board. They work amongst themselves to review finances, give recommendations as we approach the budget time period, and that gets reported to the board. The process will continue the same way.
and you also have a
Yep.
third-party auditor that is your auditor, not ours, that audits at the end as well, and then has to certify that it's been looked at as well.
I just want to say something. In all the years I've lived here, we have never had, to my knowledge, on the board, a person like Kathy, who was a major person in the MTA. Okay, she knows budgeting. Take my word for it. And you are so lucky to have her as treasurer because she watches them like a hawk.
Good evening and welcome to you. Tybee Lapkin to Halifax Drive. I came in, I have to admit, feeling a little, let's say, wary. And I have to say, while I'm very positive, I was kind of negative. But I have to say, I am really impressed with your knowledge, background, and I truly, I'm excited. Hope those of you who are not who are negative are not going to attack me. But I think this is you're offering us your experience, your connections, and I think we have a perfect combination with our new board and our new management service. So maybe it was the brownies.
We put nothing in the brownies.
I don't know.
Nothing in the brownies. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but we put nothing in, including, I'll see you at our family reunion Saturday. Good, thanks.
I'm feeling very good. Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
Welcome, and
Thank
I'm
you.
looking forward to working with you.
Name's Marilyn Richter. I live on Cameron Court. I've lived here 25 years. And in the whole time I lived here, the restaurant has not been as bad as this one. Are you going to change it or keep it the same? We used to love going there at least once or twice a week. And now we can't go at all. And my second part of the question, your landscaping sucks. And they need to fix that too. Because the landscaping is gross all over if you look at the lawn.
We will, yeah, what that, now our job is to start looking into all that.
Well, look at mine first. and you
Okay.
see.
As long as you say it's not my landscaping that sucks, because I'm not the one cutting it. Yeah. Right, then we'll come to you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Ed. I live at, on Wellington Place. I don't know what happened with our security, but I'm sure you've heard this and you've been hearing it. You know, for people who ever lived in an apartment in Brooklyn, as soon as you move in, first you change the locks and then you change the toilets. Our security was great. They knew our names. They drove around, they called us by name. They were efficient and effective. I don't know what happened. It's certainly not the board's fault. It's not the board's problem. They're great. But the people that are there now, just for giggles, I went out last night because I know when they were driving by, going one way, they're going to come back. And I put on a black hoodie, flashlight, left my garage door open and stood on the front lawn, waving it at my house as they drove by 20 miles an hour. Didn't stop, didn't care. They probably, it's Christmas. Somebody's got to do something about the security system because these people are dangerous and they're not helping us. And people moved here for the security that we have.
So definitely, sir, as we stated earlier today, your fellow residents all shared, similar concerns. So obviously it's becoming a very high priority for us to have a sit down with them and discuss all these areas of concerns. So we will bring back the findings to the board and address it that way as well. Oh, someone had one, wait.
Okay, my name is Helen Kroll, and I'm on Brighton Court. I have a question about the nurse. For wonderful, are they going? They are part of the safety. What's the nurse?
So what Helen asked was about the current nurses. There's been some changes, I think on, people wise from it, but I'll pass it to Tom. You know.
Yes, Helen, they're staying. We have a contract separate with the hospital. From that, so they're staying. They're in our budget.
Everyone get that? Well,
Yeah.
The nurse will be staying. They're not leaving, and they are separate from FirstService Residential. We have a contract with them through the board. So they'll be staying, everything is the same.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Marty Levine, Westminster Drive. I don't have a question. I just want to share some information. I have personally had experience working with FirstService Residential. I lived in Coney Island next door to a condo development that they managed and both high-rise developments. And after Hurricane Sandy, unfortunately, Brightwater Towers had $20 million worth of damage. And I was doing a work for the mayor on helping developments in the area restore the grid and, you know, various things. And I can tell you, I work with people at the development from FirstService, and I work with people in their main office. And their concern was what's the best for the people who live here? How do we best service them? Who's got the information that we need? And everything was on the table, and they were very professional to deal with. And I lived next door to that development for over 30 years. And I was in Trump Village, they were in Brightwater Towers. And everybody was very, very impressed with the way the place was managed. And I can't see any downside to having them here as long as, the board is in charge. Thank you.
Barbara Blake. I live on Wellfleet Street. I had a nice conversation with Tom, and I promised you that we're on senior street. However, yesterday was a very unfortunate day here, but a very positive day. And I want to say something very special about Kristen, who was here through the chaos. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people that did lose their electric and did not have the ability to get air conditioning, and they came here looking, and unfortunately, there were circumstances that it did not work out for everybody at the moment. Kristen was in the office and was wonderful. And there was a lady who I won't mention, but you know who you are, that came down at 3:45 when people were standing in the lobby, not knowing what to do. And Kristen was trying to help everybody. And she said, "I'm leaving." And it was 10 minutes before. And Kristen said, "Well, I can't leave. Yes, I'm supposed to, but I want to see that these people get some help." Now, that is a wonderful comment on a young lady who really did a good job to help the other people when the first dame came down and said, "I'm leaving." And I know who she is. You should never keep it for 5 minutes, much less for any other time. The second question, actually, is, now, my question is, what is the downside that goes towards your management? There's got to be a skin in the game somewhere. Are you paying for this, or is it incentive at the end of the time?
So I could take that. So are you asking, there is a fee that we are charging? Yes. Sorry about that.
Dennis Calogero, Rutland Lane. I have a question, being that there's a lot of security questions coming up. I understand, maybe not, that there was a relationship between FirstService Residential and Plans Companies. Is it partnership? Is it a wholly owned subsidiary? And if so, how are we going to prevent some issues between our management and?
Sure. It's a great question. A great question. So this is how it works. FirstService Corporation has ownership of plan companies. FirstService Corporation has ownership of FirstService Residential. So that would make them cousins, right? Here's the advantage. If we can't get them to move off the dime, then no one is. And our job, as we hired in our contract, is to do the right thing. We are in communities with plan companies, and there are communities that they do really a terrific job. And there's ones that they don't do as well and have corrected them. And there's ones that they didn't do well, didn't correct it, and they were fired. At the end of the day, we've got to hold ourselves accountable because you are not happy on how the service is today. So it's got to change. And that's why I said, I'm going to go directly to the top and let them know what I heard in this afternoon and today. And I want them to succeed. I think as long as they're doing their job and you're happy, you would be happy. But if they're not, then it's not going to go good on that. So there's not an issue. We've done it before. We do it, and that's our job. So. Sir, did you get?
Hi, Rich Bunyan, 25 Dawson. Can you tell us what year 3 of the agreement looks like as far as the savings? We've heard about year 1 and 2. What is year 3?
Although it's very early to tell, it is very likely that the savings that we see in 2025 would likely go forward in 26, 27. So the reason I put together 2025 is because it was a full year or anticipated full year of operation with FirstService in place with the permanent general manager and the assistant property manager. And we would be operating at that point for the entire year with their service. So it is expected that those savings would continue throughout.
Just to confirm, nothing in year 3 of the agreement that's going to eliminate the savings you've gathered up to that.
No, no,
No,
absolutely not.
It's a good question because some people push the third side. So very good question.
Hi, Nadine Waldman with the Birmingham. Thank you for being here. We appreciate your transparency. That's something that's very important here. And I saw a lot of transparency, so thank you. My question is, it's spring. People are replacing windows, replacing doors, taking their trees down or whatever. Is it the same email or extension on the GW site now? Because I know it's going to be crazy while you transition for a few months, but spring's coming and we got to get stuff done. So who will we contact to get approval?
Ted or Tom?
If you, wait a minute.
oh.
If you want to change your windows or something in your house, now Greenbrier has its own site review committee and WOA has a separate site review committee. You must, for either one, fill out an application. They are right at the door. You submit it. It has to be reviewed by the committee. If it passes, you get told, yes, you can go and make the change. But they will not have anything to do with that because, yes, no, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew you can. It stays the same as it's always been. I want to make sure everybody knows you must submit that application. Thank you.
Hello, Dorinda Noel. I live at 61 F Winthrop Road. I've been here since 2017. And the HOA was pretty reasonable at that time. Every year we would go up maybe $10, maybe $15. For the last 2 or 3 years, it's jumped $50 or 40 some dollars. And I wanted to know why. I mean, I don't have any idea why we're paying so much. It's almost $630 a month. And I have a mortgage. And I'm afraid I might not be able to afford to stay here.
All right, the reason.
So that's my question.
I am your Whittingham, one of 2 Whittingham reps on this board. So I've asked that I be allowed to address this. The reason that it went up was twofold. First, we did not collect enough money in the years prior in order to meet our responsibilities for things that had to be replaced in both the entire community and in Whittingham, like roofs. And so now that the state is stepping in, they will make us do it, fine, we'll work it out. But that's the reason. Now, the other reason is the insurance went up more than 100%, sure exactly. But that is nationwide and we were creamed. Okay, like every other community here has the same problems. She can address the insurance. I just wanted you to know why we were at the most irresponsible fiscal status that this community's ever seen by those $5 increases. And we have to face it, and now we have to deal.
Will it ever go down?
Let me just address the insurance a little bit more. I do want everyone to understand. As far as I am aware, in terms of Monroe Township, nearly every community had a very large increase this year, last year, and if not, the next year, because insurance costs have gone through the roof throughout the United States. We had done a presentation here approximately 2 months ago explaining why insurance costs have gone up. Suffice it to say, weather-related. There have been so many claims over the years, and unfortunately, it had affected us directly and cost a tremendous amount, which we had to pass on. You cannot absorb costs that large.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you for
That was-
explaining.
And that was honestly felt across, we saw in all of our communities. So that is, I would categorize that, that's gravity, unfortunately. And our job, as Sam explained, working with Kathy and the board and your committees on the finance side, is also to help benchmark other communities similar like yours to see where you may look at other areas that other communities like you did that might be able to help avoid stepping in a hole if that opportunity. But unfortunately, the insurance is hurt everyone across the country. Really has.
Hi, my name is Eileen. Hi, I have a couple of questions. I've been waiting to hear from someone. I have a fireplace. I have a chimney that needs to be replaced for my fireplace, and I still haven't heard anything. Who do I go to see for that? Okay, all right.
That would, yeah,
And you-
that would be the property manager's.
Yeah, thank you. Also, any kind of improvements we want to do, windows, doors, etc. Do we go to you, Cindy? Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. And you're there from Monday through Friday? What are your hours? All right, thank you so much.
I don't see any other hands. So Michael, would you like to wrap this up? or-
Well, we have a board members in it.
Good evening. This afternoon, there were a lot of questions about the ratings, BBB and all that good stuff, okay? And I did a lot of research on this, okay? And yes, it's true that BBB, Better Business, gave them a D- rating. What people don't understand is that they're not an accredited business of BBB. Therefore, if you file a complaint with the Better Business Bureau with this firm, they don't have to answer to BBB. They have to answer to you. And they do that, okay? And according to BBB rules, if they do not answer BBB, they're automatically given a D- rating. Okay? And if you have a D- rating with BBB, not necessarily a bad thing, because an accountant that I know has been in business for 21 years, he decided not to go to BBB. Okay? They keep on asking him to pay the fee and all that good stuff. Okay? He decided not to. And they told him, if you subscribe to BBB, we will automatically give you a AAA rating. I don't think that's right either. Just a little background, because I'm a Wall Street guy. These guys spun off from Collier in 2015, and they went to the NASDAQ, they listed, and the Toronto Stock Exchange at $27.86 a share. On October 29, 2020, the stock peaked at $199.90. Okay, on September 30th, 2022, I guess because of COVID, dropped down $80 to $119. Today, the stock closed at $166.94. The earnings per share in 2016 were $2.03. Today, they're $4.80. So these guys got to be doing something right. And I'm not talking about like fees. I'm talking about getting more and more developments under their fold. So I just want to put that out there. Okay, guys? Thanks.
I just want to add a little bit more to that so I can put it in perspective. There were very few complaints. FirstService, as Michael indicated, manages over 4 million people. Okay, 1.8 million homes. When you think about the 15 complaints that were on the Better Business Bureau and many positive ones, and the roughly 200 minor complaints, if you read through them, again, on Trustpilot, you will note that is a very, very small percentage of the homes and the people that are associated with those homes. That says a lot.
I mentioned last meeting, I'm here for 8 years now. I bought my house personally based on gated community. These gates never work. One is down, one is up. One is down, one is up. The first thing, please do, change the company. Bring somebody we can count and we can be secure. This is not gated community. If you come from Concordia, one is up all the time. Anybody can.
So just one comment I understand we have two interims that are going to be managing our property. So have we given any thought? You said there's nobody in the bench that you can normally tap for a position like this. We're looking internally for people that are not new to your community, but to our community and new to your company at the same time. Pick the best one, give them a little bonus, and bring them over here to Greenbrier Whittington.
There is a vetting process that we do, from an internal look, national look, industry look, and industry related look. So we started that like last week. We started that process. Yes, we have contractors. I don't know what the issue with the gate is. I don't know who the contractor is. So we'd have to go through that.
Michael?
Yes.
Yeah, the board has been looking into the concerns with the gates. We've raised it to the prior management. They're kind of piecemealing machines that are there now because they're very expensive. But it's very clear what was trying to be done doesn't work very well. So we need to probably look at a total replacement of the system. It's gonna get expensive. It's not cheap. But we're gonna look at it and we'll get a full handle. We'll work with the management. We'll try to get a good handle on what the cost is gonna be. We need to replace the entire system, but it's gotta be fixed. There's no doubt it's gotta be.
There's more. Got to get back out there, Troy. Job is not done yet.
Good evening, everyone. My question is, our community here, as you can see, are senior citizens. They're our grandmothers, okay, our mothers. When the gates are down, I think a squad car or security guy should be there and treat that as if it's the front gate. The rear gates near the library sometimes are down, cars come in. You can easily walk in, I got all of that. But if that gate's open, we're not secured commuting no more. Our border is compromised. There's a lot of senior citizens that live alone. At night, yesterday, the power went out. I don't know if there's an emergency plan to have, go around and check. Okay, it's very important because we don't know who fell down or I haven't seen security walking there since I've been here. One side was down playing pool, they walked in. They came in and left. I'm from corrections, I'm from a city job, National Guard. This place is not secure. The gates must be working. Out here near Concordia, that all these gates were just replaced. You look at wires. Where's the conduit piping that belongs with that wiring? The wires are exposed to weather, salt, rain, sun, the wires are starting to corrode. This is why the gates, they're being confused on what to do. Now, if they're going up and down, the best thing for that to do is stay up because it's designed to do that. We need somebody, hopefully, all you people, welcome, to address this issue, because I'm very concerned for these people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just a quick request more than anything else. A quick comment on my request was, everybody knows the insurance went up, our homeowners went up, everything. The Whittingham residents took the hit and then took a second hit because the administration decided that they could no longer cover certain aspects of our insurance. And to be honest with you, I don't remember what exact. I know that my common charges went up almost $60 because I'm a golf house. And I also, my insurance I had to raise was another $150 a month to cover individually what the community should have been covering as a whole to cause back. So my request to you is, please look at the insurance that this community has, that these homeowners are covered under, and let's reassess and see if maybe we can team up with other communities in a similar situation and use that manpower to get these insurance companies to bring us back down.
It is one of the areas, how you're insured today. We obviously, as a large organization, that's part of the aggregate purchasing power, including your banking. So we're gonna look at all that. We're gonna share with the board. And by the way, the board was asking these questions during the vetting process. They are representing, I feel, a lot of your concerns. They are hearing it because we didn't walk into anything we didn't expect. We don't live here. We got it from the board. So the board was sharing like what the concerns are, what we need to do as a team. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, but we have to look at what can we move quickly and where can we be opportunistic for your benefit, and then where we might have to do a long play game of chess. And that's going to probably all three of those areas. Okay. Yep. Thank you. There's
Hand
a
up in the
gentleman
corner here,
right over
and the
here.
hand just went up here. We'll take those
then-
last two and then.
I think it's
close it
Mark
out.
over right.
Okay. And then we'll close out after those questions.
Hi, Joanne, 85 Harwood. One way, I don't know if this is the right place, but we all could possibly save money is that we're all trapped into an Xfinity contract here, of which it goes up and up and up and we have no control. And that can instantly, maybe if we can get FiOS or or somebody just to tell them, hey, you're here for the first year or two and you get a great deal, and then they kill you. So that could save everybody in this community instantly some money. Doesn't matter which division you're in,
We have approached Verizon multiple times over
Not
the years.
Verizon.
But
Comcast.
no, I'm not talking Comcast. I'm talking, we have approached other vendors, including Verizon, and they refuse to put FiOS under the ground in this community. So there's not any negotiation. We've tried and tried, and they are not interested in putting wires under the ground.
So we said to the board that we would look at this as well. We do have certain relationships with Comcast, but here's how it works. So please do not take this and spin it that I'm going to lower your fees on this. But Comcast has territories. It's like they got their claws here. So this territory is not under that kind of jurisdiction, if you will. But we are working on it because we do have a cluster of large communities. And when it works, it's big savings. It really, so you're spot on in reference to where that is. And the board again as well. So we're going to do our best. We can only try and leverage as much as we can, but at the end of the day, they're either going to want to talk and feel it's the right position to be in, or, we'll keep trying. We'll keep knocking. Thank you. I'm sorry? He said, "Are we cut the cord?"
Yeah. Hi, Michael. Hey, it's nice to see you again. We met at Regency some months ago when you had that party.
Oh,
That
yes.
was, yeah, and I was really
Wasn't my
impressed.
party.
No, it wasn't your, but yeah, it was really
That
nice
was
to
the
see.
board, it was a board appreciation.
And I'm also optimistic about you coming on board here. So first, I need to clarify one of the reasons for the insurance rises in insurance, and it's insurance claims. And part of the problem is a lack of foresight and a lack of risk mitigation. Now, just so you're not blindsided, there are some things happening here with risk management issues around the community. I'm working on it. Both boards, my board and this board, have been kicking the issues down the can down the road, and it's got to stop. I'm working on some things behind the scenes. Can't share right now, but I don't want you blindsided. It's not your fault. You're walking into it.
Thank you. Thank you. Wait, there's one, can't leave one hanging. I'll beat you there, Mark.
So I just want to say, I moved here 6 years ago and the amenities have changed drastically and we have less and less amenities. Just even an example, the handyman used to be able to like even turn on our outdoor water for me, little things, not big plumbing things. And now they're not allowed. I don't even know if we even have any more handymen around. But the point I just was curious. I'm just trying to wrap my head around what you're doing here. So basically, everybody that's here is just interim. You're going to be hiring people to be permanent members of our staff here. Now, do you pay them? Do we pay them? The only man that I see, the gentleman from finance, is he permanent now? Is he permanently with us?
So let me walk you through. So everyone here is permanent with FirstService.
Right.
We'll start there. There's, at the property, there is Carol, who's the interim
Right.
general manager,
Right.
right? And then we have Susie, who is here.
Right.
So the responsibilities you had before when you were self-managed is you needed a person to be at the property. You paid for that.
Right. Okay, so now you're looking for new people.
No,
to
no, no, no,
replace
no.
these.
Let me walk it through.
Okay.
So that person you needed to be here when you were self-managed. Now that you're managed by a management company, the person physically doesn't need to be here. In all our communities, the person on the finance side does. That's part of your savings. Okay, that's part of your savings. Now, the responsibilities, the day-to-day and all, work the same way they did when you had your previous financial leader.
Right.
We are going to be hiring a permanent GM as well as an assistant property manager. And the people here have then moved over as FirstService residential associates. So if you look at what you were paying for all your employees that were your employees, not the security and all your employees when you were self-managed, now that has dropped because you have a management company, management absorbed part of that. And then we also need people here. You need people here at the property. When you take who needs to be here, who doesn't, and who needs to be replaced, that is where the savings. So to answer your question, there will be a general manager here at the property, FirstService residential general manager. There will be a property manager. That will be here. There will be an assistant. Yes, that's our team dedicated to you, which is what you're paying. You're paying for, and by the way, including the other people that are still here.
Now, are you reviewing,
Yes.
are you reviewing
Yes.
the staff that's here if we need all these people? Because it had kind of grown.
Right. So that's why I said in the beginning, we need to understand how things are. We're not looking to hurt anybody. We're not going to put anybody out on the street, but we are looking at what's the most efficient way you can run this without affecting your culture and your service. So we don't want to sacrifice money to say that, well, we can't get anyone answering our calls now. So it's got to be the blend. That's why it takes, a 6-month window to kind of evaluate and then start working with the board on the suggestions and the ideas of this. And then the good news is, if people are here and they really are good people, but the position might not be needed, we could move them to another property. So we're not putting, when you're self-managed, they're either here or they're outside, right? So that's, has to be the blend.
So basically, all the employees are going to be your employees that are going to
That
be
was
here.
what that is what the board and us discussed during the vetting process. And by the way, the reason why that's good for you is because at the end of the day, the board is in a non-compensatory role, as I said earlier, right? Someone needs to be responsible. There has to be direct clarity around the accountability of it. That should be our job. At the end of the day, if they're doing their job, then we're happy. If we can help them because they haven't maybe got the resource or the support, then we owe it to them. We need to put them on the right path. And then, of course, if people aren't delivering, then that's how.
Are you going to be reviewing our committees also to see how they are run?
So I want to be careful how I answer this. Okay? We will give suggestions from our experience on areas that maybe can be better efficiencies or communication, because that's our job. We'll share it. We'll share it. But we're not reviewing to the point of that they have to hit a certain checklist. If the committees are doing a great job, they're happy. But we might give some suggestions that we think maybe might even be better. But that takes time. You're a big community. There's a lot of moving parts here. So it's going to take time for anyone to come in that could, give evaluations after they put some time in to understand.
Good luck.
Okay. Michael, do you have any closing stuff? All right. Got one more woman. This will be the last question.
Right, this time really, last one.
This is the last question.
Hi, it's Debbie Cohen. I live at 27 Ardsley. I have a question about just how you're set up in terms of our group that's going to manage us. It's not necessarily here. How many other communities are they working with? And how is your division divided up so that obviously you've got 1 million people out there? How are you dividing those up? Are we in small groups? Are we running like a corporation under a corporation? How does that work?
I want to make sure I understand that because I might need more clarity on the question. So are you asking how Whittingham sizes against other, I'm sorry, can you? Okay,
Know is these people are going to work for us, but they're not going to be here. Okay, let's just take the.
Yep.
Okay. So my question is, who else, how many other communities are they responsible for?
okay, gotcha. So Tom, you please. So Tom is a regional director. He's the first line of contact to the general manager. General manager, if you say, who's your boss? You're gonna say Thomas, right? Very clear. But Tom is responsible, which we're lowering down, but probably say about 15 other communities, all within, correct me if I'm wrong, a 30-ish minute radius, right? So his focus, it's the way we designed it, but you have to have the business to be able to, is here. So he's not driving to Atlantic City one day, Philadelphia the next day. He's in a concentrated area, and his focus is the first line of responsibility as a resource to the general manager. That resource might be where that general manager may need something or where they may need to go to get something. Tom facilitates that. And then there might be things that are above the general manager's knowledge today. That is his responsibility. He's also the direct contact with the board. And then Tom reports into Ted. Ted's the senior vice president. Ted just has 3 or 4 Toms that he's responsible for, all in the same product line, right? The same community, same large scale lifestyle community. So Ted's responsibility is making sure that those checks and balances are placed. He's also a resource to the general manager. He's also a resource to the board, but he's also looking at a larger amount of communities that might be beneficial in something you're going through now that you may not have to go through 3 months of research because maybe there's another community similar to it. We will also get the board in time to meet our other boards so that they get best practices and share in that. That's another part of Ted's job. The other, I'll call them the supports, the supporting cast members here. So their specialties, like we call them subject matter experts. So Colette, as the talent and relations expert, she will be very much involved when it comes to hiring. She's already got the process going, along with our HR team. That's not looking for the right person, the competencies of those person, the skill set of that person, the experience of those. She will vet through them and then present to the management team maybe 2 or 3 candidates. Now, in this property, as large it is, I will absolutely interview the person before we present to the board. So we want all our fingerprints on it in that way. And Eileen specializes in communication. A big community like this, how are you running it today? Is it a little antiquated? Going to be better streamlined? So Eileen will be looking and sharing that to the GM as well. That answer? Correct. Got it. Okay. You're shutting me down. I don't know what to do. You go with that? No? All right. Yeah, so they're asking me to make a final statement. So first of all, thank you so much for being here. Coming out on a night that you could have been doing a lot of other things, but it shows that you care about your community, which is important to us. We appreciate it. We understand that this is important to you. It's going to take time. All I ask is that we have positive intent. Let's just be kind in the process, and we'll try to figure this out because it's to all of our advantage for this to be successful. For you as the resident and the homeowner, and us as well as the board who are on both sides of the equation. Thank you very much, and thank you for allowing us to be part.